In this video, I'm going to be discussing why it's more expensive to be poor, especially here in the United States. Now, I know that this can be a sensitive and controversial topic, but I want to offer some insight as to why being caught in a cycle of poverty makes it difficult to get ahead in life. But before we get into details, I wanted to say thank you to all my Joe for your continued support. If you're new to the channel, welcome. We focus on finance, real estate, and other life-related topics. Consider subscribing and turning on the notification bell, as I'm posting valuable new content at least twice a week. So I would like to think that most people out there do not choose to be poor. And there's definitely a high cost associated with being poor. I mean, being poor comes with special costs that higher earning people often don't face. For example, the poor pay a premium in stress, time, and of course money, from harassing phone calls to longer lines to food costs. Being poor is almost being constantly stressed. One way in which being poor is expensive is the cost of living, the cost of housing. It is estimated that 1 in 4 renters pay more than half of their income on housing. Think about that, guys. That's a large percentage, 50% or more, when the recommendation is 30% or less. Additionally, home ownership is at historic lows, especially among millennials that have been burdened with large amounts of student loan debt. Now, millions of renters have joined the market, which pushed up rents. It's estimated that minimum wage workers cannot afford rent in any state. Think about that, guys. These are working people that are working full-time in most cases, sometimes more than one job, and they're not able to keep a roof over their head. Now, another issue that those being poor suffer is the cost of getting an education. Now, many people see a college degree as a ticket out of poverty, and it can be. However, the high cost of going to college prevent many from attending college, or it's a deterrent because people are afraid of having large amounts of debt. Average amount of student loan debt is estimated to be over $40,000. Now, I know for myself, I had some people encourage me to not attend a four-year university due to the insane cost. Now, I was fortunate enough to get a considerable amount of financial aid, which included grants, some scholarships, as well as student loans. Now, for myself, I have worked steady and worked the entire 4 years of my undergrad in order to be able to stay in college. And let me tell you, it was not easy, guys. When I finished my bachelor's degree, I had about $38,000 in student loan debt. And when I first got out, I had moments where I had to put them in deferment, and I've been aggressively paying them down. The reality is, Joe, is that even if someone is poor or low income figures out a way to fund their education, they still face a lot of obstacles that get in the way of them furthering their education and improving their economic status. Now, childcare is another major issue faced by those who are poor. Childcare is very expensive. It is estimated that you can pay as much as $17,000 per year for childcare. Now, this cost does go down as your child gets older, but for someone who's making minimum wage or even more than minimum wage, who is already spending 50% or more of their income on housing alone, you can see how the added childcare costs can be burdensome. A full-time minimum wage worker could easily spend close to their entire paycheck on childcare. This makes it even more of a more serious issue for those who are single mothers, single fathers, and those who do not have a partner bringing in additional income. Now, banking is a huge issue for those who are poor. It is estimated that close to 10 million Americans don't even have bank accounts, and almost another 25 million people who have bank accounts have issues getting credit cards and or loans. Therefore, a lot of people in poverty are forced to rely on payday loans in order to pay their bills and provide for their family. We all know that the payday loan cycle is a trap and it's hard to break once it starts. It's estimated that families on average spend more than $3,000 a year on high fees and interest charges that comes with payday loans and other high-cost alternative banking products just so that they can make ends meet. It is estimated that poor families spend 28% or more of their income on food. So again, guys, between housing and food, that's close to 80% of their income. With these kind of numbers, Joe, you can see why it's way more expensive to be poor. The harsh reality is that many Americans do not have enough money to buy the food that their families need. It is a tragedy that we are one of the world's wealthiest countries, and yet so many struggle to feed their families. Now, another major issue faced by those who are poor is the ability to get to places, also known as transportation. So in order to commute to work buy groceries, visit the doctor, or pick up any medication, you need a way to get there. If you make the federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour, that would be $15,080 annually, and it would be very difficult for you to afford either a car or public transportation. It costs an average of $8,698 a year to own a car in the United States once you pay for gas, insurance, registration, and maintenance. If you make the federal minimum wage, that's more than half of your income. Now, in terms of commuting in big urban areas, housing near the city center, where many jobs are, is just very expensive. Now, if you're on minimum wage at your job in a city such as Manhattan, San Francisco, Los Angeles, there's very little chance that you're living close enough to walk or even bike to your job. The average American commutes about 25 minutes a day each way. 10.8 million Americans commute more than an hour each way, and 600,000 have super commutes, which is 90 minutes or more each way. When you are among the working poor, you must do nearly everything right just to survive. Everything must go perfectly to get ahead. Even if you can manage to do that, you also need perfect luck to keep the whole house of cards from just tumbling down. Now, if you live in a place without public transportation and are limited, unreliable public transportation, you'll need a car to get to work, and you need a car that's reliable. If your car breaks down and you can't afford to fix it immediately, then you may miss days of work. Hopefully you live near enough to walk or bike or someone can give you a ride. It's just a constant cycle, guys. It's a cycle. So now you have no money to fix your car, no paid time off, and now a smaller or no paycheck at all. So these type of situations are the experiences and reality of many who are poor in our society. Some additional hardships can come into play if you either have poor or no credit or have had a utility shut off in the past. You may have to pay a deposit to open up a utility account in a new place. So on top of what is probably a few $1,000s in rental deposits, you may also face a few $100 more to get the lights or other utilities turned on. Now, fees is something that really impact the poor as well. Particularly late payment fees hit the poor very hard. So for example, if you have to choose between buying groceries for the week and paying your rent on time, it's an easy choice to make. You won't get evicted for a late payment, but you will be charged a late fee. We all know that banks love to charge all kinds of fees too. A fee if you don't keep a certain amount in the account, a fee if you overdraw, a fee for a bounce check. All these fees add up for anyone who's already struggling. I personally know people who are in a constant situation of being hit with overdraft fees for each transaction, sometimes at $35 per transaction. So if you're $100 in the red due to transaction, now it can cost you $170 to get your account back to zero. I'm not saying that banks shouldn't be allowed to charge fees in certain situations, but these fees typically impact and hurt the poor, those who are already worse off in our society. It just keeps them in a constant cycle of having to catch up and feeling behind all the time. Now, rent to own is one of the worst things you can do with your money. You end up paying way much more for a piece of furniture or a computer than you would if you were able to buy it outright. In fact, sometimes you end up paying 2 or 3 times the retail price. Now, the appeal is very low monthly payments. Maybe you cannot afford a $1,500 refrigerator, but you can afford $30 a month. If you don't have the $1,500 and need a refrigerator, which we all do, you're going to end up paying an outrageous amount over the long run, which is yet another example of how it costs more to be poor. So Joe-Dolls, in this video we explored some of the ways in which it costs a lot in America to be poor. Time, money, mental and physical health. Not everyone is born with the same opportunities, and some people pay their whole lives because of it. If you found value in the video, please be sure to hit that like button. It helps me out a ton with the YouTube algorithm. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell as I'm posting valuable new content at least twice a week. You can also find me on Instagram at WhatJoe_knows. Thanks for watching, and until next time.